Hello and welcome to the first installment of what I'm going to probably call the 23-24 season transfer window. In this series, we'll be looking through teams and how their transfer markets have gone, where I think they need to improve. We'll probably do this every couple of weeks throughout the summer, waiting for updates and so on to come through. In this initial episode, we'll go through teams that I'm interested in. We've got 6 teams. We'll do a Premier League prediction, and then that will guide me on what I would probably do for the next episode, which would include people I believe in the top 4, or people who I think will be challenging for the top 4, top 5 Champions League places in the Premier League, and ultimately the teams that are missing from here, and also what I think will be happening in the off season. Might also use this as a chance to speak on other areas of sports that I'm interested in. As you've noticed, my co-host is not here, and I got tired of waiting for him to actually get his act together. So let's get started with his team. Actually, the big news this week is obviously Declan Rice has been confirmed by Arsenal. They have finally gotten their finger out of their and decided to do something rather than repeating what they did with Suarez. I think this caps off a very good transfer window for Arsenal. Looking at their squad, we'll look from the midfield forwards. You've got a solid I believe most teams these days seem to play a 4-2-3-1 and then vary their formations throughout a game state depending on whether they're defending, attacking, and whether they're leading or not, what their intentions are. Now, looking at Arsenal's first team, clearly they have a very strong midfield and forward line. We've got Declan Rice playing the traditional 6 role, is probably what he's more expected to do, or perhaps more of an 8, meaning he'll be box to box. If you need explanation on formations, please see the short that's just been released. Their front 3, Jesus, Martinelli and Saka, very strong last season, all got team of the seasons from FIFA, obviously, RIP FIFA, EA Sports now. And I think bolstering their midfield is a very good move. Going on to their defense, they've reinforced their right back position with Timber, allowing Ben White to be able to play in centre back form. I think last season, if anything, although they had a very strong squad, the biggest weakness in their squad was the fact that they had not enough squad depth, especially in the defense. When Saliba got injured, their season fell apart. I do think that they need to get a better backup goalkeeper and perhaps also another defender to try and back up either Zinchenko having an injury, or either Timber or White having an injury, or Saliba not being able to be maintain a whole season again. He is very young. Arsenal need to stop doing what they tend to do with their young players, which is overplay them and overwork them, leading them to be able to not perform when it comes to crunch time. We saw this last season with players like Saka dramatically falling off towards the end of the season and not being able to perform. And you can also say that Saliba perhaps being overplayed in the Europa League, causing his injury and causing their season to fall apart. They have good rotation players. Another confirmed summer signing is Havertz. Traditionally plays a 10 role for Chelsea and has been forced to be their point of attack, but that's not really the role he's more comfortable in. He tends to be more comfortable in a in a sort of attacking, perhaps box to box, drifting in the midfield area type of player, and he has a lot of versatility. Him with Trossard, I believe, will be quite a potent attack force, and I think he pairs well with any of Arsenal's front 3, with Jesus, with Saka, with Martinelli. If they're going 2 up front, Havertz can be that backup striker, can be that backup cam, can relieve Odegaard if he needs some rest, can play on the right if Saka needs it. Now, it seems also that although they have got quite a deep bench, and Partey, Smith Rowe and Nketiah haven't overtly said they're leaving, it does seem that perhaps some of these players will not be happy to just be on the bench and playing part roles. Partey, again, perhaps got tired. His performance tended to wane off towards the end of the season, and I think he was looking for a move. I'm not sure if that will come through or not. Smith Rowe as well, especially I felt he got spited towards the end of the season. Instead of playing him, they brought on some other players. So I feel like he might want to develop as a player, and he's not really getting a chance in this Arsenal squad, especially with the transfers that have been brought in. I don't know how much of a role he'll be able to play in Arsenal. I think a mid slash challenging for the Europa League places team would probably benefit Smith Rowe more on a personal level, although the project at Arsenal is very appealing. With all this being said, I think Arsenal have had a very successful transfer window, and I do think that they will be challenging for the league next season. Whether or not they will win it, that remains to be seen. Man City is very strong and I believe remain favourites. But I think it gets a bit boring. I feel like we can't have them have a four-peat, can we? Moving on to my team. So, as much as it pains me to say, it does seem like the love affair with Harry Kane is finally over. It seems like teams are coming in and making bids for him before the transfer window is open, and he may have to become the Premier League's top scorer on his next return to the Premier League. Perhaps his return will be at Spurs, and that will please me and please the fanboy and the tribalism in me. Now, the rumours so far seem to be that Kane may be going to Bayern Munich. Now, Bayern Munich have Mane, and that didn't seem to work out very well this season, and it made winning the Bundesliga a lot more difficult for Bayern than it has been in recent years. Now, personally, I support Dortmund, so I was heartbroken on the final day of the season. But they do need an out-and-out striker. Mane doesn't seem to be that focal point of attack, and he has been injured this season. Kane going there kind of guarantees you almost a Bundesliga if you go there for 2 or 3 years. I doubt Bayern Munich won't be winning the Bundesliga in 2 or 3 years. With that being said, what are Spurs going to be doing with their strike force? Sorry, I was just seeing if there was any transfers I needed to talk about from Arsenal. But so with their strike force, it seems like Tammy Abraham. They still have Richarlison, but I'm not very confident in Richarlison being our only attacker. I would prefer if we brought someone in, and like I mentioned in the short, Tammy Abraham could be that guy. James Maddison has been confirmed for 40 million from Leicester City, so that's quite a big move that we've made. And whether or not Pedro Porro stays, I think we should bring back Jed Spence. We definitely need to strengthen our goalkeeping position, and we're in talks with Vicario, but until pen hits the paper, I'm not very confident in that. I believe that there are a lot of transfer targets that Spurs could go for. Now, with Ange Postecoglou being from Celtic himself, he may go back to his old club and sort of, bring some players. Now, the Asian in me would be very happy if we brought another Asian man into the squad alongside Heung-min Son, although not from Korea. Furuhashi has been brilliant for Celtic and was developed under Ange Postecoglou. So I believe that he could be a good backup option. It seems that Spurs may be becoming the second option for Man United transfers that don't seem to work out very well. The much maligned Harry Maguire and Jadon Sancho are being rumoured to be playing to be possibly on the books with and like I said, Tammy Abraham. So if we put them in, would I put Harry Maguire slabhead in over either Romero or Sanchez? Probably not. I'd put him on the bench, but with Harry Maguire there and Jadon Sancho perhaps serving in the cam role alongside Bentancur, swapping game time, I think that is quite an intriguing squad that we could have. Another possibility is Tapsova from Bayern Leverkusen, I believe. Let's just double check that. Bayern Leverkusen, yes. Now, a much loved figure in the FIFA community. I believe that he could offer a great backup defense, and I believe teams need to start focusing on defense as the most key point. We can all score goals, but can you prevent goals? That's the most important thing. Um, a la Mourinho, um, although I don't want him. I'm looking forward to next season. I think what Spurs definitely need is they need to guarantee some more of their defensive options. We need to know what our back four, they need to be working with each other. And in that vein, we don't have a left back position. Perisic was playing that position from time to time. He's kind of a chameleon and plays in all positions. But I believe that we need someone who plays there regularly, who has the pace, has the defensive ability, and can carry the ball forwards. Um, and yeah, I believe that when Perisic came to Spurs, he was playing very well in the beginning, but he kind of fell off quite dramatically. Now, where do I think realistically Spurs will be next season? I don't think we'll be challenging for the Champions League positions. I think I would be happy if we were able to challenge for the Europa League positions and make a deep run in one of the cups. But here's hoping. The third team we'll be talking about is my ex, essentially, in Manchester United. Now, the biggest rumour in the transfer market currently is with Arsenal dropping out of the Caicedo race and having secured Rice. Caicedo from Brighton seems to be the top prospect for Manchester United. We need a CDM either to back up or support Casemiro in the 6/8 position. And Caicedo slots in, as you can see, very nicely in the squad. Now, whether or not Tony Martial will stay, that remains to be said, but our left side certainly is very weak. With Kane not looking to, not being on the transfer rumour mill for the striker position, it remains to be seen whether or not they're going to bring in a left mid position and have either. If they keep Martial, then that's covered, but we still need backup. Our bench looks fairly strong. Rabiot is also on the strongly rumoured to be being brought in. Now, this gives us a very strong midfield, much like Man City 2 seasons ago, but not a very strong attack. We don't have a focal point of our attack. Now, would Wout Weghorst be the focal point? I don't think he is the quality for the ambitions of Manchester United. Manchester United's ambition should be for really pushing for being the champions, really, to be pushing Manchester City. De Gea has been a big talking point. He's here with the team of the season. He's had the most clean sheets in the Premier League. However, he is not a keeper that plays out with his feet. So it's a big criticism. Do you stunt the evolution of your squad to accommodate a potential club legend? Or do you try and move on and perhaps bring in Onana, who's been strongly rumoured? Now, Inter Milan may be being scavenged this transfer market. They're bringing, I can't remember who it was, but it seems like a lot of their players may be leaving. Lukaku going across the road to AC Milan, it seems. Brozovic perhaps leaving to either the Saudi League or Barcelona. And Onana possibly leaving as well. That remains to be said. I think what Manchester United really need is to work on this striker position. I think, and perhaps an extra centre-back if they do lose Slabhead. Then they've only got Lindelof as a backup centre-back. I believe they need to perhaps train someone more and perhaps work on this left-back and right-back position. Essentially, right-back, I mean, Wan-Bissaka and Dalot are not really the best quality if you're putting them up against Kyle Walker, for example, or Reece James. But why not go for Reece James? I mean, Chelsea are selling everybody anyway. Why not go for Reece James? And equally left back wise, João Cancelo perhaps target some more players. Essentially, you need backups because you have Shaw coming in and playing the centre back position with the injured Martinez, so you do need a bit more squad depth. Moving on from Manchester United to the next squad that I care about, Brighton. Now, you may call me a glory hunter, you may not. One of my best friends studied at Brighton, and like I said, I am a sucker for a man who has, for a team who has some Asian blood in them, and they've got Mitoma, who was a very exciting prospect and very exciting to watch last season. I'm very surprised not a lot of rumour mills are surrounding Brighton, really. Normally, when you do very well as a squad, you would be scavenged, but I haven't heard very much about McAllister or Estupinan. And we've already talked about the one player that is being rumoured to be leaving in Caicedo. The rumour mill is saying that perhaps Kudus from Ajax and a backup goalkeeper is on the books, as well as Nunes from Norwich City. I think that would reinforce their midfield position. For me personally, I feel like what they need to really work on is having another option in the centre-back position, at least one, perhaps two more options in the central midfield, and a pacey winger to back up Mitoma, so that all their attacks don't just come from one side. Teams are going to get wise to Mitoma's quality. They're going to start marking him. They're going to shut him down. You need a right winger to try and come in and perhaps provide you with some of that pace, as well as a more focal striking option. Perhaps you could go for some of Mitoma's teammates. Perhaps you could go for some more Asian players. I would love to see that at Brighton. Moving on to the team I support in the Bundesliga. So we're going to go through the 3 or 4 teams I care. The 4 teams I care about in the Premier League on a personal level. Arsenal for Julian, for example. For Julian, the other 3 for myself. And then I have a team in the Bundesliga, and my team in the Bundesliga is Dortmund. Now, like I said last season, heartbreaking not being able to win. The first team is pretty good. They've obviously lost a big source of midfield stability and defense in losing Bellingham to Real Madrid. But it seems that Alvarez from Ajax is being considered as an option. Now, the problem with this is it seems that Ajax is being the new feeder team in Europe, with Kudus being rumoured to go to Brighton, Alvarez to Dortmund, and so on and so forth. They seem to be beating a lot of interest from teams like Inter Milan, for example, for this player as well, and he seems to be a very exciting player. Now, the midfield position I think is very strong for Dortmund, really, if they're playing in their 4-5-1, 4-1-4-1 type of formation. The problem I feel is that, firstly, it's heavily rumoured that Guerrero is leaving, and there's a huge hole there in their left back position. They don't really have a backup that is of sufficient experience or quality. So that's one area where they need to sort of buck up their ideas. Perhaps for now, either Schlotterbeck or Sulu can play backup there. The next problem they have is that Royce is getting on. They really need to win. They need to get Royce some silverware. They need to win him the league. It's unfair. He's a club legend. Injuries have hampered his career, yes. However, I just want to see the man succeed, really. So ultimately, what do I think they need? I think they need a backup goalkeeper. I think they need a left back, and possibly 2 if they're going to be replacing Guerrero. They need to close on Alvarez, or find a central midfield player who can provide that amount of quality. That I think they'll have a good push. I do think, however, with what Dortmund is looking like, I think it'll be very difficult to make a similar push next season, especially with Tuchel having a full summer, a full training camp. I think it'll be a hard ask to see Dortmund lifting the Bundesliga, but they're my hope. And then in La Liga, Viva Catalans, Viva Catalunya. I've always been a Barcelona supporter. Call me a Messi fanboy, but I am a Messi fanboy. It's a shame that he's gone to Inter Milan. I was holding out hope that perhaps a Lampard-style deal, because their MLS season and the La Liga season don't really coincide. I believe the MLS season sort of finishes in October, and it gives a window where Messi could be out on loan back at Barcelona, playing a couple of games here and there. Now, I think it'll be a whole other episode for me. Next week's episode will probably be me talking about a lot of news and a lot of things, such as what I think about Messi going to Inter Miami. I said a lot of things on previous podcasts on what I think his legacy should be. But anyways, on to what we're talking about. The Barcelona squad. Now, looking at the Barcelona squad, I am not very impressed. I do feel that this right wing position is fine. They need a left wing position if Xavi is going to be playing a 4-3-3 position. They have secured Gundogan, but the biggest problem they have is this financial fair play, and their financials are awful. The defense seem to be, again, what can you do when you're restricted by your finances? There were rumors of Neymar and Bernardo Silva potentially going there, linking Bernardo Silva linking back up with Gundogan, Neymar linking back with Barcelona. And if we see that, so if we see Neymar go there and Bernardo Silva go there, then then Barcelona's sorted. There's no issue. Brozovic is another potential candidate, like we mentioned. But do I think that with their finances they'll be able to support this? I really don't think so. I think that the more likely options, and the bigger, and you can see by the difference in step down in quality, is probably players like Longley coming back from loan, and a Lo Celso being the backup. And just that looking at this, I worry how strong a La Liga title challenge they can make next season. They may prove me wrong, and I will always support them. But Real Madrid are making big moves, especially to replace their the loss of CR7. They've brought in Bellingham. They have a young midfield. They have Vinicius Junior up top, a potential future / current Ballon d'Or contender. And this is what you're rocking up with to try and fight that? I don't think so. I don't see a long list stopping this Vinicius Junior. So best of luck. And moving on, we're going to go into a Premier League prediction. So right, we've got a tier list maker. So who do I think are going to be champions? Boring answer. I think it's going to be Man City again, but I may change that once I plug in my top, once I plug in who I think is going to make it. We'll do the top, we'll do the middle, we'll do the top, we'll do the bottom, and then we'll do the middle, because I don't really know that much about mid-table teams. I haven't looked too much into the transfers. I think Manchester United, Arsenal, and I haven't heard much from Liverpool this transfer window. I kind of have to look into it. Do I think Chelsea will flourish? I don't really think so. Am I going to banter and put my team there? I don't think I can. I think it has to be Liverpool. Do I think it's going to be Liverpool? I mean, they have a very good squad, but Klopp hasn't really been proven to, to rejuvenate a full team. I mean, other than a Dortmund, obviously. It's difficult. We'll put Liverpool there, and we'll put Chelsea next, and we've got Newcastle United. You know what? I'm going to be bold. I'm going to say that's my top four. Same as this season. That's going to be my top four. Then I think Chelsea and Liverpool. And then I think I'll put Spurs next. Relegation. Unfortunately, I think Luton have just come up and they're going to go straight back down. I don't think they have the depth or quality to stay up. I think it's going to be Forest, despite what I'm hoping. I don't want them to be relegated, but I do think that they've survived by the skin of their teeth, and I don't see a lot of quality coming in from them, and I see them being scavenged a little bit. And I think Everton will just about survive. I think West Ham United should have a bounce back, to be honest. Aston Villa ahead of West Ham United. Burnley, I don't think they'll be above them. I think it's going to be Luton at the bottom, Forest. I think Bournemouth will be trading places. I think we'll have mid-table mediocrity from Wolves again. The is it Company at Crystal Palace, I believe? No, Company's at Burnley. Oh, actually, do I think this instead? I think that, actually. Brentford. And then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think Brighton is in this category and Fulham. Of these, I think Wolves will be in this category. Okay. Now, I think Brighton in this area, I think they'll have a bit of a fall off and come in 9th, high mid-table. I think Fulham will be scavenged this season and will drop a few places. I feel like Brentford is going to get scavenged, but they might be a dark horse and rise up the table. I think I'm happy with this. This is going to be my Premier League table for the 20. So I'm going with... Oh, do I... Ooh. Okay. I mean, next week we'll probably do... We'll do Newcastle United, Manchester City, Chelsea and Liverpool to round out my top 8 in terms of squads. And we'll find some other teams to do. This is difficult. I believe in Poch as a manager. I did fall back in love with Spurs when Poch was there, and that's why it hurts me a little bit. I think Chelsea below Liverpool, yes. Arsenal, they've got a really strong squad. I feel like Arsenal will come ahead of Man United, and I feel Newcastle will be coming in, to be honest, as well. You know what, we'll make this a regular segment. Based on what I've seen so far in the transfer window, I believe this is going to be my Premier League table. But next on the next podcast, depending on transfer moves and before the season starts, this is liable to change, and we'll be going through the whole Premier League table anyway. Right. Thank you guys for watching. Catch you guys next time.